I found Whiskers limping up our driveway at 6:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. His white fur was matted with blood near his left shoulder, and he made this awful mewing sound that turned my stomach inside out. I dropped the grocery bags right there on the pavement and scooped him up, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold him. "What happened to you, baby?" I whispered, checking his wound. It wasn't deep, but it was fresh, still bleeding. My boyfriend Marcus came running out when he heard me yelling. His face went pale when he saw Whiskers. "Oh my God, babe, what happened?" he asked, voice tight with what sounded like genuine concern. I looked into his eyes, searching for something I couldn't name. "I don't know," I said quietly. "But I'm going to find out." Something about the way Marcus wouldn't quite meet my gaze made my skin prickle with unease. I'm Maya Torres, 28 years old, and I've always trusted my gut. That instinct kept me safe through a rough childhood and helped me build a decent life as a graphic designer. I met Marcus 3 years ago at a coffee shop downtown. He was kind, stable, everything I thought I wanted. We moved in together after a year, adopted Whiskers from a shelter 6 months later. Life felt simple and good. But standing there in our driveway, holding my bleeding cat while Marcus fumbled with his phone, I felt that old instinct screaming at me. Something was wrong. Not just with Whiskers, with everything. Marcus kept glancing at his phone screen, his jaw tight. "We should get him to the vet," he said, already heading to his car. I followed, cradling Whiskers close, my mind racing. Why did Marcus seem more nervous than concerned? Why wouldn't he look at me directly? We rushed Whiskers to the emergency vet clinic across town. The whole drive, Marcus kept his hand on my knee, squeezing it every few minutes like he was trying to comfort me. But his palm was sweaty, and he kept glancing at his phone. "Who keeps texting you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He shrugged, eyes on the road. "Just work stuff. Don't worry about it." At the clinic, the vet examined Whiskers carefully while I held my breath. Dr. Patterson was kind, her voice soft as she cleaned the wound. "Looks like something sharp," she said, frowning slightly. "Not a cat fight. Maybe he got caught on something." I nodded, but my mind was racing. Whiskers never wandered far from our yard. He was too old and lazy for adventures. When we got home 3 hours later with antibiotics and bandages, Marcus went straight to his laptop. "Got some emails to answer," he mumbled. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the moment I found Whiskers, the exact position of the wound, the way Marcus's voice had cracked when he first saw the blood. Around 2 a.m., I gave up and went to the kitchen for water. That's when I remembered the security camera. We'd installed it 6 months ago after a package got stolen from our porch. The camera faced our driveway and part of the backyard. My heart started pounding as I opened my laptop on the kitchen table, the blue light harsh in the darkness. Marcus was snoring upstairs. I could hear him through the ceiling. I logged into the security app, my fingers trembling on the trackpad. The footage was all there, organized by date and time. I scrolled back to Tuesday afternoon, starting at 3 p.m. For the first hour, nothing happened. Just our empty driveway, the mailman delivering a package, a neighbor walking their dog. At 4:23 p.m., Marcus's car pulled into the driveway. That was weird. He wasn't supposed to be home until 6. I leaned closer to the screen, squinting at the grainy footage. He got out of his car quickly, looking around like he was checking if anyone was watching. Then he went to the trunk and pulled out a cardboard box. My stomach twisted into knots. I'd never seen that box before. Marcus carried it to the backyard, disappearing from the camera's view for exactly 11 minutes. When he came back, the box was gone, and he was wiping his hands on his jeans. He checked his phone, typed something quickly, then got back in his car and drove away. The timestamp showed 4:34 p.m. Whiskers came limping into frame at 6:47 p.m., just like I remembered. But now I knew something had happened during those 11 minutes when Marcus was in the backyard. I sat frozen at the kitchen table for what felt like hours but was probably only 20 minutes. My mind kept trying to make sense of what I'd seen, but nothing fit together properly. Marcus had never mentioned coming home early on Tuesday. He'd acted surprised when he saw Whiskers bleeding. Why would he lie? I thought about waking him up right then, demanding answers. But something stopped me, maybe fear, maybe the need to understand everything first. Instead, I grabbed my phone and texted my best friend Zoe. "Are you awake? Emergency." 3 dots appeared immediately. "What's wrong?" she wrote back. I hesitated, thumbs hovering over the keyboard. How could I even explain this? "Can we meet tomorrow for coffee? Something happened with Marcus." Zoe responded instantly. 10 a.m. at Bruno's. "You okay?" I typed "I think so," but deleted it. Finally I just wrote, "See you then." Upstairs, Marcus's snoring continued, steady and undisturbed. The next morning, Marcus acted completely normal. He made us scrambled eggs and toast, humming some song I didn't recognize. "How's our little guy doing?" he asked, nodding toward Whiskers, who was curled up on his favorite chair, looking miserable. I watched Marcus carefully as I answered, "He's okay. Still won't put weight on that leg though." Marcus nodded, sipping his coffee. "Poor thing. Probably got tangled in some wire or something." His voice was casual, but I noticed he wouldn't look directly at Whiskers. "Maybe," I said quietly. "Hey, what time did you get home yesterday? Before we found him, I mean." Marcus paused for just a fraction of a second, his coffee mug frozen halfway to his lips. "Same as always," he said smoothly. "Little after 6. Why?" I shrugged, forcing my face to stay neutral. "Just wondering if you saw anything weird in the yard." He shook his head. "Nope. Everything looked normal to me." Bruno's coffee shop was packed when I arrived at 10. Zoe was already there, sitting at our usual corner table with 2 lattes waiting. She stood up and hugged me tight the moment she saw me. "You look terrible," she said bluntly, and I almost laughed because it was true. I hadn't slept at all. We sat down and I told her everything. Finding Whiskers bleeding, the vet visit, Marcus's weird behavior, and finally the security footage. Zoe's eyes got wider with each detail. When I finished, she sat back in her chair and let out a long breath. "Holy hell," she whispered. "What do you think was in the box?" I shook my head. "I have no idea. That's what's driving me crazy." Zoe leaned forward, lowering her voice even though no one was paying attention to us. "Have you noticed anything else strange? Any other times he's been secretive?" Thought about it. Actually, yeah. He's been on his phone a lot lately. And he's been working late more often. Zoe stirred her latte absently, her forehead creased with worry. "Okay, don't freak out, but I have to ask. Do you think he's cheating?" The question hung in the air between us like smoke. Honestly, I'd been so focused on the mystery of the box and Whiskers that I hadn't even considered it. But now that Zoe said it out loud, pieces started clicking into place. The late nights, the constant texting, the secretiveness. "I don't know," I admitted, my throat tight. "But what does any of that have to do with my cat getting hurt?" Zoe bit her lip. "Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. Could he have brought someone over while you were out? Maybe Whiskers got in the way somehow." It sounded far-fetched, but at this point anything seemed possible. "I need to see the rest of the footage," I said, pulling out my phone. "There has to be more." Zoe nodded firmly. "Let's go back to your place. Marcus is at work, right?" We drove to my house in Zoe's car, both of us silent and tense. Inside, I pulled up the security app on my laptop while Zoe made us fresh coffee. "Let's go back further," she suggested. "Check the last few weeks." I started scrolling through footage from the previous month, fast-forwarding through hours of boring, empty driveway shots. Then, 2 weeks ago, I found something. Marcus's car pulling in at 3:15 p.m. on a Thursday. Another day he should have been at work. He got out, talked on his phone for a few minutes, then another car pulled up behind his. A silver sedan I didn't recognize. My breath caught in my throat. A woman stepped out. She was tall, maybe 30, with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. Marcus walked over to her and they talked for maybe 5 minutes. Their body language seemed tense, not romantic. She handed him an envelope. He nodded, said something, and she left. "Who is that?" Zoe breathed, leaning over my shoulder. I rewound the footage and paused it, trying to get a clear shot of the woman's face. The camera angle wasn't great, but I could make out enough features to recognize her if I saw her again. "I have absolutely no idea," I said, my voice hollow. "I've never seen her before in my life." We kept watching. Marcus stood in the driveway for a minute after she left, staring at the envelope. Then he opened it, pulled out what looked like papers, read them quickly, and shoved them back inside. He looked around nervously before going into the house. "This is so weird," Zoe muttered. "It's like he's involved in something shady." I scrolled forward again, looking for more visits from the mystery woman. I found 3 more instances over the past month. Always the same pattern. She'd show up, hand him something, they'd talk briefly, she'd leave. And Marcus never mentioned any of it to me. After Zoe left, I spent the rest of the afternoon in a daze. I fed Whiskers his medicine and sat with him, stroking his soft fur while my mind spun in circles. Who was that woman? What was in those envelopes? And most importantly, what did any of this have to do with my cat getting hurt? At 6:30, I heard Marcus's key in the lock. I quickly closed my laptop and tried to look normal, whatever that meant anymore. "Hey babe," he called out, dropping his briefcase by the door. "How was your day?" I forced a smile. "Fine. Coffee with Zoe, then just hung out here." He came over and kissed my forehead, and I had to fight the urge to pull away. "I'm starving. Want to order pizza?" As he pulled out his phone to place the order, I noticed his hands were shaking slightly. His voice was cheerful, but there were dark circles under his eyes. Whatever he was hiding, it was eating at him too. That night after dinner, I made my move. Marcus was watching TV in the living room, half asleep on the couch. I pretended to go upstairs to bed, then quietly crept into his home office. My heart hammered so loud I was sure he'd hear it downstairs. His desk was neat, everything in its place. I started with the drawers, carefully rifling through papers and folders. Bills, work documents, nothing unusual. Then I checked the filing cabinet. 3rd drawer down, hidden under a stack of old tax returns, I found a manila folder. Inside were bank statements for an account I'd never seen before. The amounts made my head spin. Deposits and withdrawals in the thousands, sometimes tens of thousands. The most recent statement showed a balance of $73,000. My hand started shaking so badly I almost dropped the papers. Where did this money come from? I took photos of everything with my phone, then carefully put it all back exactly as I'd found it. I barely made it back upstairs before Marcus came up to bed. I pretended to be asleep, controlling my breathing even though my heart was racing. He climbed in beside me, and within minutes, he was snoring softly. But I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, my mind whirling. $73,000. That was more than Marcus made in a year at his job. Was he stealing? Dealing drugs? My stomach churned at the possibilities. Around 3 a.m., Marcus's phone buzzed on the nightstand. I turned my head slightly and saw the screen light up with a text message. The preview showed just 2 words. Tomorrow. Noon. I couldn't see who sent it, but my gut told me it was the mystery woman. Marcus stirred but didn't wake up. I waited until his breathing evened out again, then very carefully reached over and grabbed his phone. My hands were sweating as I tried to unlock it. He'd changed his passcode. He'd never changed his passcode before. The next morning I called in sick to work. I couldn't focus on anything except figuring out what Marcus was hiding. He left for his job at 8:30, kissing me goodbye like everything was normal. "Feel better, babe," he said, squeezing my shoulder. The moment his car pulled out of the driveway, I was back on my laptop, checking the security footage. If that text meant what I thought it meant, someone was coming here at noon. I watched the live feed like a hawk, barely blinking. At 11:52 a.m., the silver sedan pulled into our driveway. The same woman from before. But this time she didn't wait in her car. She got out and walked right up to our front door. My doorbell rang. I stood frozen in the kitchen, staring at the laptop screen showing her standing on my porch. She rang again. My phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. "Don't answer the door if anyone comes. I'll explain later. Please trust me." My hands were shaking as I read Marcus's text 3 times. Don't answer the door. Trust him. After weeks of lies and secret meetings and mysterious money, the woman rang the doorbell a 3rd time. I looked at Whiskers, still recovering on his chair, and something inside me snapped. I marched to the front door and yanked it open. The woman's eyes widened in surprise. "Oh," she said, recovering quickly. "You must be Maya. I'm Detective Brennan." She pulled out a badge, and my entire world tilted sideways. "Detective," I managed to croak. She nodded, her expression serious but not unkind. "I'm sorry to show up like this. Is Marcus home? We were supposed to meet." I shook my head, unable to form words. Detective Brennan sighed. "Listen, I know this must be confusing. Can I come in? I think we need to talk." My legs felt like jelly as I stepped aside to let her in. Detective. Marcus was working with a detective. None of this made any sense. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I discovered Marcus's lies just 2 nights ago. Detective Brennan folded her hands in front of her, studying my face carefully. "How much has Marcus told you?" she asked gently. "About what?" My voice came out sharper than I intended. "About anything, apparently. Because I'm his girlfriend of 3 years, and I had no idea he even knew you existed." Brennan's expression softened with something like sympathy. "He was trying to protect you. It's complicated." She paused, seeming to choose her words carefully. "Maya, Marcus has been working with our department as a confidential informant for the past 6 months. He witnessed something at his workplace. Something serious involving money laundering and fraud. We've been building a case." The kitchen seemed to spin around me. "A confidential informant," I repeated stupidly. Brennan nodded. "The secret bank account, the meetings, all of it. It's part of the investigation. We've been funneling marked money through him to catch the people running the operation." I sat back in my chair, trying to process what Brennan was telling me. "But what does any of this have to do with my cat?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Why did Whiskers come home bleeding?" Brennan's face darkened. "That's why I'm here. We think Marcus's cover might be blown. 3 days ago, someone left a dead rat on his car windshield at work. A warning. Yesterday, your cat. These people are dangerous, Maya. They're sending a message." Cold fear washed over me. "Are we in danger? Is Marcus?" Brennan didn't sugarcoat it. "Potentially, yes. That's why I needed to meet with him today, to discuss protective custody options. But he's not answering his phone, and I'm getting worried." My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "I'm sorry for everything. Love you. Tell Brennan I'm finishing this today." My blood ran cold. "Oh God," I whispered, showing Brennan the message. Her face went pale. "Where is he?" Brennan was already on her phone, barking orders to someone on the other end. "I need units at Paramount Tech now. Subject may be attempting to confront suspects alone." She turned to me, her voice urgent. "Maya, I need you to think. Did Marcus say anything about where he was going today? Anything unusual?" I racked my brain, trying to remember our conversation that morning. "He just said he had meetings all day." "Wait." I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the security footage, scrolling to that first day when Marcus brought home the box. What if whatever he took to the backyard is still there? Brennan leaned in, watching the screen intently. "Show me." We ran to the backyard together, searching the area where Marcus had disappeared from camera view. Behind the shed, partially buried under some old leaves and dirt, I found it. A metal lockbox, secured with a combination lock. Brennan pulled on latex gloves and carefully lifted it. "This could be evidence he was collecting," she said grimly. "We need to open it." Brennan made a quick call, and within 20 minutes, our backyard was filled with police officers. One of them worked on the lockbox with some kind of tool while Brennan kept trying to reach Marcus. I stood off to the side, hugging myself, watching this nightmare unfold in my own yard. Finally, the lock clicked open. Inside the box were stacks of documents, USB drives, and photographs. Brennan's face was grim as she flipped through them. "This is everything," she murmured. "Financial records, wire transfers, names. He's been documenting everything." One of the officers approached. "Detective, we have a situation at Paramount Tech. Subject Marcus Webb called in a bomb threat to evacuate the building. SWAT is en route." My knees buckled and someone caught me before I hit the ground. A bomb threat. Marcus called in a bomb threat. Brennan gripped my shoulders. "Listen to me, Maya. Marcus is trying to force a confrontation on his terms. He's scared and desperate, but he's not thinking clearly. We need to find him before he does something he can't take back." The next 2 hours were the longest of my life. Brennan wouldn't let me go to Paramount Tech, said it was too dangerous. Instead, I sat in my living room with a police officer stationed at my door, watching news helicopters circle the building downtown on TV. Whiskers climbed into my lap, purring softly, and I held him close, tears streaming down my face. My phone rang. "Marcus." "Maya," he said, and his voice sounded hollow, exhausted. "I'm so sorry. For all of it. Where are you?" I managed to ask. "Are you okay?" He laughed bitterly. "I'm in the parking garage at Paramount. The building's evacuated. Brennan probably told you everything by now, right? About what I've been doing." I nodded even though he couldn't see me. "Yeah, he told me. Marcus, please just come home. We can figure this out together." There was a long pause. "They hurt Whiskers, Maya. They hurt our cat to get to me. I can't let them get away with that. I can't let them get away with any of it." "Marcus, listen to me," I said, trying to keep my voice calm even though I was terrified. "I know you're angry. I'm angry too. But this isn't the way. You have evidence. Brennan has evidence. Let the police handle it." I could hear sirens in the background on his end of the call. "They have people everywhere," Marcus said quietly. "Cops, lawyers, judges. That's why I had to do this alone. Why I couldn't tell you." My heart ached for him, for the weight he'd been carrying all these months by himself. "You weren't protecting me by keeping secrets," I said softly. "You were just making us both alone. We're supposed to be a team, remember?" He was crying now. I could hear it in his breathing. "I messed everything up. I thought I could be some kind of hero, take down the bad guys. But I just put everyone I love in danger." Through the window, I saw Brennan pull up, gesturing frantically. "Marcus, Brennan is here. Please talk to her. Let her help you." I handed my phone to Brennan, who stepped outside to talk to Marcus privately. Through the window, I watched her pace back and forth, her expression serious but patient. After about 10 minutes, she came back inside and handed me the phone. "He wants to talk to you again." I pressed the phone to my ear. "Marcus." "I'm coming home," he said, and I could hear the defeat in his voice, but also relief. "Brennan is sending someone to pick me up." The bomb threat was fake. I just needed to clear the building so I could confront my boss without anyone else getting hurt. But Brennan convinced me that was stupid. Despite everything, I almost laughed. "Yeah, that was pretty stupid." "I know," he said softly. "Maya, I need you to know, everything I did because I thought it was right. I saw these guys stealing from pension funds, from retirement accounts. Regular people losing everything. I couldn't just look the other way." My anger softened slightly. "I get that. But you should have told me. You should have trusted me." "I know," he whispered. "I'm sorry." Marcus came home 3 hours later, escorted by 2 police officers. He looked exhausted, his shirt wrinkled, his eyes red from crying. The moment he walked through the door, I wasn't sure whether to hug him or hit him. I ended up doing neither, just standing there, arms crossed, waiting for him to speak. "Maya," he started, then stopped. What could he possibly say? Brennan followed him in, looking equally tired. We have enough evidence to move forward with arrests, she said. Marcus's cooperation has been invaluable, and he'll likely receive immunity for his testimony. But there's still a long road ahead. Marcus looked at me, his eyes pleading. Can we talk? Alone? I glanced at Brennan, who nodded and stepped outside with the officers. Suddenly, it was just the two of us and Whiskers, who limped over to Marcus and rubbed against his legs, purring. Marcus picked him up gently, tears streaming down his face. I'm so sorry, buddy, he whispered. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. We sat on the couch, an awkward distance between us. Marcus told me everything. How he'd stumbled onto the fraud scheme by accident, how he'd gone to the FBI instead of local police because he didn't know who to trust, how the investigation had consumed his life for 6 months. The money in that account, he explained. It wasn't real. Well, it was real money, but it was marked. Part of the sting operation. Every deposit and withdrawal was tracked. I listened quietly, trying to reconcile this version of Marcus. Brave, principled, maybe a little reckless, with the man I thought I knew. Why didn't you tell me? Asked finally. Even after we've been together for 3 years. Don't you trust me? Marcus's face crumpled. I trust you more than anyone. That's exactly why I couldn't tell you. These people are ruthless, Maya. If they thought you knew anything, you'd be in danger too. I thought keeping you in the dark would keep you safe. I understood his logic, but it still hurt. You made that choice for both of us, I said quietly. That's not how partnerships work. We're going to therapy if we stay together. And no more secrets. Ever. He nodded, relief flooding his face. Deal. The arrests happened 2 weeks later. Marcus's boss and 4 others were charged with wire fraud and money laundering. We sat in the backyard where this nightmare started, watching Whiskers chase butterflies. The security camera kept rolling, capturing our uncertain new beginning. This time, though, there were no secrets. Just truth, hard and painful and real. And maybe that would be enough.